Hi everyone. Y'all can hear me? Alright, cool. I'm Annalisa. I'm your host tonight. Hey. So welcome to the Lungfull Zinc Bar reading series. Thank you for coming tonight. It's the autumn equinox, well yesterday, but that's still pretty cool and spooky, so keep celebrating. We have 3 readers tonight. They are Drew Boston, Filip Marinovich, and Christine Kanownik. I'm very excited to have them here. Before we start, I want to say thank you to Zinc Bar for letting us invade once again. And thank you to the New York State Council on the Arts for their support. And yeah, let's get this thing started. Our first reader is Drew Boston.
Woo! Yes.
Yeah, yes. That's right. He tells us that he is a dormant poet who has been published in Lungfull and several other variously elusive journals. He is a survivor of a childhood in the suburbs of Washington, D.C., as well as an undergraduate career of various unrequited love affairs and vitamin deficiencies. And he currently lives in near Penury in Bensonhurst with a holiday house in the Marianas Trench. Recently told me he might become a grave digger, which I'm full support of. And this is his second time reading, I think. And in Zinc tradition, I have, by way of introduction, written a acrostic poem using the first letters, or no, every letter in Drew Boston's name, composed of lines from his poetry. Drew Boston. Dreaming of thick, wriggling fish. Recently, I knew that was a good one to choose. Recently, things began to seem much funnier. Even a broken lobster is right twice a day. We first learned about death. Before the electricians arrived on Normandy, out there is Coney Island. Spaghetti dinners celebrating the end of empire. The 20th century was bitten by a squirrel in the park. One day the dead will sleep on our couches. Nightbirds. Please welcome Drew Boston.
Thanks. I want to thank zinc and all the other minerals. Untitled. Archaeology and Grooming. The twin accomplishments of brushes and combs. God, if I promise to find you 10 righteous men without having to change trains, will you hold off on pressing the eject button? Let your finger hover over it like our invisible overlords? This life is a pinball machine, interspersed with underbrush and deserts. The rich men who completed my schooling told me that all the empty areas are just spaces for ideas. The jackals retreating before the mechanical brooms, and the invisible geometry of empire. One mistakes the instinct that one is watched over, that there are celestial uncles constantly writing us letters of introduction, a creation myth to explain weather balloons. There are circumstances in which crowds are moved, and there are also parking meters which must be fed and checked and emptied. And don't feel the need to applaud until the end. This poem is about conspiracy theorists, always imminent. The new influenza, commensurate with a study of history, the study of a linear progression upwards, though hemmed in on all sides. On this side, the expanding and advancing fence. On this side, the antibiotic and the green drought. No distance from that which is always imminent, always creeping and encroaching, even as we know that we creep and encroach. That the borders, though unmanned, are as carefully washed as traversed. One imagines the archive, a negative image of the real archive, a bust of Jefferson on top of a hollowed-out Bible, the paramilitaries of the heart, because the heart is involved fear and desire, the fingertips of the imminent, that marks the marks that fingertips leave, like call tags on the sleeping silos of the Midwest, the grain depositories and gold reserves, empty even of shadows. But the shadows are the new currency, the new influenza. If you had any idea what the people watching over you were doing, you would have an idea very similar to the idea you already have. This is sort of a contribution to the idea of, you know, should you respect an artist even if they, you know, for their art, even if they turn out to be an asshole in person. So this is called the tender surrender. Hey, listen, the guy may have shot 16 people in a mall, but have you seen his popsicle stick dioramas? They are like a view of World War I cemeteries in Flanders. A wind whistles through the gaps in the trees, and the sun is nearly invisible. It is so high up in the sky. Sure, he may cook and eat little boys occasionally, but that doesn't make his R&B albums any less state-of-the-art. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't welcome him into Jerusalem with a battleship-sized cake, a forest of sparklers, and 100 Cadillacs. Look, I saw the photos of all those cats and dogs that he mangled, and I know he used to terrify his infant son by dressing up in the skin of wildebeests and chasing him through their 10-acre farm until the slow sizzle of the August dawn. But he's made some pretty impressive Super 8 films. I went to his show at the Rubin Museum. Jonas Mekas was there. So give the guy a break. He's just trying to make it through in this illogical late capitalist buffet of misery we find ourselves eating at each day. Hey, Salvador Dali fucked potato salad. Simon and Garfunkel used to swindle little kids. Wagner's hatred for jug bands was legendary. Nobody's perfect. I read that the longest an American prisoner has ever spent in prison was 68 years before being released. So, and this guy, Paul Geidel, he killed someone at 17, he robbed someone, he was working in a hotel, and he killed some rich guy and robbed him and ended up in jail for 68 years and then was released and died in a nursing home. So I thought that was a pretty unhappy life, so I wrote An American Dream for Paul Geidel. America as an extension of space when really it is an extension of time. The time in between entering and exiting, so that each day collapses like an endless series of folding beach chairs. And you are working in this resort, folding chairs and putting them in disused airport hangars. Let us say you are a convict, taken to a baseball game by two guards. The final score of the game is 1-1, but even as a kid you appreciated pitcher stools. They reminded you of your father, who worked 6 days a week, but managed to maintain an excellent posture, a certain magisterial, dapper conveyance, as though he were entering and exiting time. Paul Geidel served 68 years in an American prison, the longest time ever served by an inmate who was later released. He went to jail at 17 after robbing and murdering a guest at the Iroquois Hotel where he worked as a bellboy. He served time at prisons called Sing Sing and Fish Kill, the singing fish of routine, killed slowly by the leaking exhaust pipes of the mine. Sing, sing to me, Paul Geidel, of setting the land speed record of wasted time, the emperor of inertia, of living in an ultimate simplification of America. We live as though we are about to confront a parole board, as though one day we will be handed a broken watch and 20 inflated dollars, and move on to a new kind of breakfast. Never trust a sailor. In the I know it's Quay Key, I never know, I guess in the Key District Midnight of the Soul, in inexplicable and dubious confusion of genders, the heat and bird exodus and dreary season, where shaking hands with someone smudges them, a smudgy night, a good humor bar melting in a trash can for the last 6 hours, the unsettled chocolate mixing with records of escrow, a whole murder of escrows mistaken for S-moths in unmodernized lights. Never trust a sailor. Just tie his foot to an anchor with an absence of rancor, an internal schism you wouldn't understand. The next ship arrives from cities where laughter is being invented from scratch, so that you, listening to your father's radio at night, hear what sounds like an aqueous muffle, like sound going back into the conch shell. The laughter bounces between channels like the tennis balls of twilight. Every one of the drowned is discovered as a stowaway, in the hull of the ocean and discovers himself on land with ambitious starfish. Let's see, I guess I have a few more. Life is a house with too many rooms. Imagine that you know the sugar pill is a placebo. You take 400 of them before a job interview. You answer the questions concisely, yet somehow demonstrate a breadth of perspicacity and experience. The radiator still sounds as though there was a chorus of barking dogs just behind it. But you begin to forget the meals you take, the act of putting on shoes. This is a bit like the amnesia of love. The sky is empty of airplanes. Shoes hit the ground and brushes hit teeth in a way that doesn't remind one of sonar tumbling through atmospheres. You miss a spot while trimming your beard and shave the whole thing off, and shave the back of the neck into a square like the end of an airport runway. This I actually was in an archival library, and I discovered the early poetry of Mitt Romney. And so this was, I think, one of the pieces that held up the best. A lot of it was very derivative of Neruda, but this one had a freshness that I thought. So I'm gonna read his work because I think it's interesting to see how he got from there to here. The tax-deductible ballet horse of our discontent. That summer you were as far away as a Swiss bank account. In our letters we imagined watching Wheel of Fortune. In a world where all things were equal and shuddered at the thought. Having the patent dreams, the same ones I had the first missionary year. Except this time the leaves are red and they vibrate in cross currents. Like a fire gently shuddering in place. The fire next time. Somehow our fathers allowed their hands to be sieves for chaos. Privilege brings you from small houses to small rooms. Letting the beanstalks grow tall and crowd and overlap, you are prodding me out of the gates. God is visible and a blooming body of cicadas. I close the book as a white city begins to emerge in the shimmer. Some nice imagery there from Mitt Romney. Things I know the words for, but I have not seen or could not identify. Betel nuts, gun whales, Paris, chrysanthemums, the LSAT, lattice work, sycamores, crystal meth, the Gobi Desert, beryllium, the finch, the amygdala, turpentine, the Charleston. This was an exercise where a friend and I tried to write 30 poems in 30 minutes. So I'm going to read some of these. 5. X-ray technicians helping to restore a painting by diagnosing what is wrong with it. Balancing apples and oranges on the foreheads of Spanish noblewomen, making corrupt doges follow fingers with their eyes. 7. Lingering midsummer, the charcoal and ash drawings and biographies swept away by the wind, even as professors, scribes, and translators chase them, and are then chased by the barking dogs of the neighbors. 9. The good season of ignorance, all projects bearing much fruit according to fortune cookie libraries kept on hand for the monsoon, and other occasions when the house rumbles like the gathering crows. 10. Spaghetti dinners celebrating the end of empire. Spaghetti dinners celebrating the Independence Day of small republics of anteaters. Spaghetti dinners celebrating the restoration of escalator service everywhere at once. Spaghetti dinners celebrating my 3rd divorce, my 4th divorce, my 5th divorce. Spaghetti dinners celebrating spaghetti dinners. 11. The running race that carries the runners beyond the track and beyond the city limits and into the fields of the country, that carries the runners through a herd of ducks gathered at the edge of a pond, that carries the runners through the pond and then to the edges of a farm, where one of them steps on a snake and is killed instantly. Let's see, a few more. These are more of those short poems. 16. The act of guzzling has yet to undergo its renaissance. We have yet to boost it on our shoulders into the pantheon of gestures where it will join picking one's nose and squeezing someone's head between thumb and forefinger from across the street. Let's see. 22. The first poem about fruit by the foot. Maybe not the only poem about fruit by the foot. There are lots of things Columbus could have done. maybe balanced plates on sticks, or invented fruit by the foot, that glorious ode to sugar, our sucre in the wilderness of cities. 23. Writing something and sending it off somewhere to someone is like watching an alligator eat a grape. Most things, it turns out, are also like this. Let's see. Okay. 26. I came back as a dog in Idaho and wondered what the trail of aphorisms my owner left behind him at parties led to. It didn't lead either of us out of Idaho, not for a very long time. 27. Nice guys finish last, and their finish is the dullest. It's their own fault for yielding so much of the world to steamrollers. 28. If it wastes time, it must be good. Sleeping at airports, floating, chewing gum, and doing a long division problem. If these things aren't life, what is? The nutcracker? 30. Something I've always wondered. Are users' manuals required by law? Are they as much a collection of whims as the things children do? If we zoom out far enough from the user's manual, could we arrive at some more general conclusions about life? Thanks.
Thank you, Drew. That was I fucking awesome, I guess. Yeah, I think that's what you say usually. And thank you for your important archival work on Mitt Romney. I consider myself a Republican as of 5 minutes ago. And our next reader is Filip Marinovich. He is the author of Zero Readership and If You Don't Go Crazy, I'll Meet You Here Tomorrow, which are both from Ugly Duckling Press. His poems have appeared in Lungfull, Aufgabe, Brooklyn Rail, and Revolutionesque, and he lives in New York City. And I have written another poem using the letters from Filip Marinovich's name, which took a little bit longer than Drew Boston, but it was worth it. Filip Marinovich. For immortality would be foolish if I could join you faster. If you dare burn in your own home, like love it's here to stay like stingray. I wish I were pink glue between our vertebrae shines. Manhattan desert wolfman, librarian, a periwinkle wax pastel angel, resident of the untied laces. I am in mourning for my life, never to return to the subject on a wake-up pill. Continuous nerve movie. I want to be the machine you take apart. Could I? I don't think I could unless I know won't do suicide. Have tea and coffee with me. Filip Marinovich, everyone.
Thanks for coming. Mayflower Gangplank. Truman, all too Truman. No way to close that parentheses. Prosthesis, hinges, jawbone steering wheel of the articulate macaw. Why can't you love me, Richard? Think not of the marrow bones, and scrub the pavement in all kinds of weather. Banished from the castle tomorrow, lose hair, limo, parking. My secret Hermes and his siblings I know they rode sleds, gemless in Wall Street to the bank with fuck all. My secret Hermes, victuals weren't enough for him. He had to take a shower and gemless, breast upon breast, sleep with his mother to find out he'd been raised a wolf in a basket, range-free. I'm cold, Mama, I'm cold. I can smell the heather, I can see the elf king coming for the Mayflower gangplank. Back when I was your page and had too much, oh, incest, where is thy sting? In my knee. Take it out, please. The Pepto-Bismol isn't working. My stomach on display for the renegades. 300 in my mind. How did they get out of their HD cage TV? I raise free-range TVs. And for breakfast, I eat my knees. Find lunch free, not helplessly strange, the new conditions. Cruising the hostel for strange, he came to you to confess and used the guest-host relationship to shield himself. The company psychologist, Yakfest. The guardian cadences of the sleeping sounded. Good job went up in succotash. Lolo, yes? This one, that one, nothing. I just wanted to see if you're there. There around mountains turning to air. There are oud mountains tuning to thick air. Are you a poet? Well, I used to write, but I don't have time for any writing anymore. Well, I hope you find it again. Yeah, you have a good day. Thanks. What were we talking about before we left off? Where the rubber meets the rose, the bear came down from the hills and handed me an acorn on the corncob pipe. Cop, who do you write for? The 300 people in your mind? I write for, they must be saved too. But I am a big delusional failure of a human being. If I think that's what I'm doing. I, United States citizen, who I write for is not the question. That's softball, as Dad shuts the basement door. The question is, how is it I'm a mass murderer and have never killed a person in my life? Taxes, what are taxes? With taxes the line grows thick, is freighted, and there's no race to blame it on, there's no one. The brain got swollen up, a flaw in evolution, and that doesn't solve it. Stop trying to solve it, this is the cable car to the castle. Cruising the hostel for strange will not save you from vengeance you've incurred for paying taxes, for children, detonation, Sam, uncle, cry, uncle! But it doesn't help. Who are you, an American citizen? Then poetry is learning how to die. Every time you give up a prejudice, you die. Learn how to die. The poetry will take care of itself. But I'm already dead! You don't get off that easy. This is your new study. Rent-free. Guantanamo Bay. Small room, but a pleasant breeze. Between the lashings, acids, screams! Are those your own screams? I feel they are not a part of me, my screams. I deal in rectal creams for the spirits passing through me to be lubricated on their way out. About where did we leave off? Where the rubber meets the tuberose. I saw the raccoon again last night. Hey, mister, I said I saw the raccoon again last night. Why call me mister? I am your father. That's a matter of debate. Ha 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 ha. Where did we leave off? The American Beauty Rose, more fun than a frog bobbing in a glass of milk. I like Ike. The Demolition Derby, postponed due to rain. Water leaking through my wheelbarrow. So much pen, so little listen. The birds know. They crap on you so you can be lucky. The carburetor goes unchanged beneath your ribs. Have some stick-to-itiveness on your ribs. Draw yourself on your lobster bib. It's summer, and you've not been invited to the Hamptons yet. To save the 300 Hamptons in your mind, with the 300 Peter Framptons guarding life in high white chairs, with the flayed skin of white people nailed to each lifeguard chair, how can we dare to be unhappy? We will be happy. So here's the pink lemonade, and the sea is yellow, from which the bear rises with the acorn in his paw. And now you have acorn jello to make, as you wait for the iceberg you are inside to thaw. Ah, poor you, articulate macaw. I'm rich inside. I have 300 people to save in my mind. How do I get health insurance for these people? Miami-Dade County, dude. Welcome to the community. Open casket toothpaste leaves your teeth feeling the tradition. The tradition? Hardly are those words out when a vast image out of Spiritus Mundi troubles my sight. If only Paris' mother had destroyed him, cracked her son's skull open when she bore him, never sent him to Mount Ida, wouldn't have changed, shit from Shinola. I am totally jazzed off those rose quartz rocks I just picked up from Venus in retrograde. I saw the raccoon again last night. Hey, mister, I said I saw the raccoon porches of the ears. Nowhere, over nobody's United States, are the front and back porches dying. Everybody's porches are alive. Everybody's pore opens up and says, I'm just being neighborly. No one's porch is in any way sick. This porch just had a heart transplant. Now it takes a bath among the neighborly. Throw salt over your boulder, Sisyphus schizophrene. Shepherds sleep in salt shakers, and in their frowns the lamplight noticed, I want to be accepted like the blight, the lamp blight, when all the lamps died. The tall gooseneck got it in the neck, got an Oscar for it. I would like to thank my agency, a man who cannot see because he is sleeping with his mother, a comedy in the 21st Electra Orestes century. I saw the raccoon again last night. Hey, mister, I said I saw. Why call me mister? I am your father. Father is in the observatory. Wolfman is a great place to get pizza. Trying to find out what price Fortin Brasserie bread loaves are these days. You really have to replay the Civil War battles in your mind to get the reenactment right. Come to Daddy on an inside straight. Hey, Dad, the raccoon came again last night. Who gets the last corn on the cob? You do. No, you do. I don't want it, pal. Since when do you call me Al? That's your brother's name. Pal. Since when are you deaf? Since a little while ago. Oh. Off to the beachhead. Beforehead. The most beautiful thing in the world is like random, awkward, nice, Heraclitus. On the raft of the Med, USA, with green Captain Jericho, I'm ready to go. Are you ready? I'm ready to show All in the Happily Incest America tonight on the HPV Evening News. Hey, mister, I saw the raccoon again last night. Nice rack. Hey, that's your dad. How can you talk to him like that? He has man boobs. So do you. Mine are inherited. So are his. From who? His father. The sea, his father, the sea doesn't have man boobs. I don't see any fucking man boobs on the sea, man. No, I don't know. Yes, I do. Here they come, man. Here they come, dude. The man boobs of the sea, man. I mean, I was cross about being fired, but then what can you do? The chips are dissolving in your drink, and they are ice chips, the same your driveway is made with. Give my best to the arabesque, the curved line you start to see when you're 36 and a half, the line from where you began. pooped out in a cornfield, and from then on, Belgrade Eraser Party, Open Casket, Paris, come in. You're my city, baby. You're my city. Will your wet braid dial me after it's electrocuted you? Yummy. The cat took me to Neptune, and we saw Saturn rings made of braided cat whiskers. And from the Morgue family porch, a double rainbow. I am through with connectivity, but I still do love connections. I don't have a community, but I do have an erection. I don't have an erection, but erection has me. For bleeding lunch, mate. I am fed to the lunch mob above my bed, while the pony birches stomp under my window all night and will not be slept with. The 300 people I saved in my mind last night are some babies who weren't even before born, speaking in regular streaming video. I run a damp white cloth over my Macintosh convertible, and thank the good Lord I'm a white American and survived the Middle Passage just enough times to forget about it. From the standpoint of interbeing, I'm just vast enough to be a car dealership. But haven't you guessed it, I'm none of these, but I am your guest, the one you tear your tiles up to find. You find me in your pulpit in the United States Congress, where separation of church and state is celebrated though never enacted. We are leaving the Earth in a spaceship, and how Earth gets out of said spaceship is entirely Earth's business. You just can't interfere with the development of an infant planet. It stunts it. The 300 people I saved in my mind last night are after me with pitchforks tonight. And as I flee the boarding school infirmary on a cold Massachusetts night, I thank the helicopters above for sending me my priorities down on rope ladders. Priorities sure look like skeletons in the night, but priorities they are. No sense in spooking yourself. I, White Spook, came over on the Mayflower and was fed to passages on the Middle Shark. I am fed to sharks on the Middle Passage. For this you will be undressed of your white skin and nailed to the white lifeguard chair when I rise for reparations from the gray, mass grave Atlantic Ocean. On a clear day you can see Long Island. Fill it up with unleaded, please. Fill it up with Long Island green. It's good for business. My secret Hermes in Mayflower Crow's Nest sings. A casket for my sneakers, a funeral for my shoes. Open up my wolf mouth now. Give me your Texas crude. Sounds like adventures. Dentures of King Arthur chattering beneath the lake. Only I knew how to give head to the Lady of the Lake. Excuse me as I pause to find out how to speak post-decapitation English. Ask Abby the cat. My archive is complete. I want to go through my closet and toss it. My memory becomes keen as the pivotal object disappears. But I am the pivotal object, and I refuse to disappear by the pineal lamp. Let's go see if the raccoon came back to get his mask, where we are using it for a doormat. What does your husband do? He's a raccoon person. Listen to your gut between guttings. Here at Merrill Lynch, we hire the ants away from your picnic basket so we can train them to enter your casket as they wish. Open casket, Paris, it's all deep dish. Rabbit is training to become a project manager. Yeah, Rabbit missed the wet part of the evening. Booby! Only one booby. What happened to the other booby? Well, we are talking about the Capitol building. Califragilistic crisis drool opens up a school. Slobber horses why. Peep show neighbor. Seahorse feels like a gerbil. Rabbit feels like a yellow gerbil tube. Seahorse is climbing through. Although most people know Duluth, who knows my loot? If you're an artist, you don't care. If you're a craftsman, beware. Live at the Doug is not the last live album I recorded in one night. American Night, a great place to work with no distractions. Truman opened my door. I'm not a forced writer. I am a forest writer. I remember being a pioneer. People crawled into my set lists. Only trouble is we fell ear to ear in time for the wedding. Late June. The setting is bloodletting on Bikini Island. Testing rubber band. Tasting bomber sand. ground snout of a wolf smashed to hold together blue tiles of a community shower for the students there on the beach at Normandy, Park City, Utah. We saw a flying saucer streak across the sky in front of us. The nation's most profoundly challenging outdoor menu opened in front of us, and in we drove. Where the rubber meets my load, the raccoon met me backstage and came up for dissection in the high school cafeteria operating theater. I'm here to pick up my daughter and dance away with her. You don't have a daughter. That's never stopped me before. Beforehead, dig. Instantaneous mommy pig comes free. Delightfully US of Innisfree. The shore is just another wave. You can see the movies of your life playing out on it, the rose quartz easy zodiac screen. I am so happy to complete a sentence for you, and that we lost our friendship over it. Napes are next to you. My secret Hermes returns, and that right soon. You like to rip your nightshirt a little for the occasion. Your medication is absorbed better that way. The extensor carpi radialis brevior reinforced by the Excalibur ligament, mentee, between us and vocal strangers. Who's there? Lear King, nothing, noshing on fool's cap and gown graduation shroud, and they keep the coffins down at Dover, wherefore to Dover, pluck out his eyes. Out, out, vile jellies! Slippery. I talked too much in the dorm, woke up with a trash can of snow on me. Both on the bed, we saw the frigging. He kept refreshing a whole ton of bees. Knew how to bring, without poisoning his brain, cloisonne roisterers to the ER. I know they rode sleds. Jamless in Wall Street. My secret Hermes. Vitals weren't enough for him. He had to take a shower in gemless breast upon breast sleep with his mother to find out he'd been raised a wolf in a basket range free. I'm cold, mama, I'm cold. I can smell the heather. I can see the elf King Kong coming for the Mayflower gangplank. I won't slave! If I could put a treadle right there, I could gate the mic automatically. I won't leave you sinking down. Relax, it's just a war. You can eat finer salt in the bunker. Iodize it yourself with iodine. Should I give up having a life in the bird feeder? No, the holes are just in the right places. I talked too much, that was my mistake. Dad, I saw the raccoon you are. You raccoon, Dad! You! My father killed me. I talked through knife holes. The holes are just in the right places. The holes come out of holes. Can I borrow a hole? You are the hole. Ambulatory black hole. Hello! Thank you. Cecilia on the piano.
Oh my God, good. There are things that reading made me want to do, like listen to Peter Frampton, call my mother and tell her that I love her, smoke a cigarette, drink a bar and tip the bartender, drink a beer and tip the bartender, I'm sorry, and also make a $5 donation to the poets that we are seeing tonight. Philip, that was, I can't see you with these lights, but that was amazing, thank you. And Cecilia, was it on piano?
Yeah.
Okay, another round of applause, please. So in order to do all the things that I just mentioned, I think we should take a 15-minute break, reconvene right here, and then we can experience what Christine Kanownik has for us. Sound good?
Yes.
All right, cool. 15 minutes. See you back here.